Migrants podcast.
Well, we have to talk about the migrant caravan that has reached the U.S. border. The first wave of the migrant caravan did a video a couple weeks ago, you know, talking about it. And one thing that I said was that I don't think many people are expecting the caravan for these people going through there to serially or one by one go through a turnstile, fill out some paperwork, wait for their claim to be processed, and then for them to, receive a decision whether their asylum claim is saw as legitimate to the United States government, granting them access to our country. And pretty much what everyone that thinks like me thought would happen has happened, is that these people are coming to and bum rushing to come into our country. Now, the people opposite of the way I believe, the leftists, they lack the ability to try to find solutions to the problem, meaning the corruption in the country, the ability for these people not to be economic migrants instead of actual political refugees. That is the bigger picture. That is the thing that we need to be fighting for. But instead, we have the opposite of people saying that we need to focus on just allowing these people in there. The law states that they're granted under asylum laws to just enter into the country. Now, if you actually look up the definition of the law that's being stated for asylum seekers, right? It says specifically, and wording is important when using law terms or just standards of how things are operate. So it says that to seek asylum, you must go to the nearest safest country, and from all known accounts, Mexico has offered asylum to these people, and they are the nearest safest country. You can go there by boat or by sea, or you can any mode of transportation. Basically, they walked supposedly to the border. But the nearest safest country, which is defined by the law, for the international law for asylum seekers, is the nearest safest country, which would not be Mexico. They are wanting to come into the United States for the benefits and the rights of citizens, or being part of the citizenry of the United States. And yes, you must have compassion for people. You must have. You cannot. In this day and age, we need to be humanitarians. But the problem is the origin of where these people come from. If you are a true humanitarian, you would start there instead of just allowing people to come, whoever just give them access and all rights and privileges as a citizen, and expect that none of these people are bad people. Now, the mainstream media will say that it's women and children that are being tear gassed. Number one, tear gas and these high frequency sound wave things that they have for riots and dispersing crowds. It is the most humane thing that we have to disperse crowds, other than shooting live ammunition at people. So when the mainstream media wants to say, well, they're pepper spraying little kids and women and children, that's the most humane thing that we as humans have developed to disperse crowds of people that you don't want gathering. Simply, there's no other way. These people are not going to go home. They are demanding to be let into our country, which there has to be a give and a take. You know what I'm saying? There has to be okay. Number one, the president of the United States doesn't want these people in the country, and that's just a sad reality that some people are going to have to deal with. Let's back up a little bit. Uh, Women and children. Okay, I've seen from the start of this whole thing. I've seen early on videos, and they're not of the mainstream media. They're just people with cameras that are there uploading what they're seeing. Okay, and I see personally, I've witnessed a bunch of grown men, you know, at the forefront of causing chaos over there. So I don't. Yeah, I see some women and children, but I see a lot of grown men. And these are people that are demanding to come into our country through somewhat violence. Not saying, oh, these guys are armed and ready to kill people, but they are being disruptive, throwing rocks, throwing stones, trying to bum rush and make, just come into the country illegally. So yeah, they're upset. Yeah, they're bothered by it, but, you know, uh, Mexico now is putting up a front saying that if we catch you, being disruptive and trying to get into the United States illegally, they are gonna deport you. And the citizens of Mexico and Tijuana, they're pretty much racist against the Hondurans, and that's where we're at. So, me personally, I'm trying not to be an NPC on my side because I hear the same thing out of everybody that I follow and hear their opinion on things. Okay, so I'm trying not to be a, a programmed individual that just is repeating, but I personally have early on been watching these videos of raw footage, people just uploading videos of what's going there, and I see grown men trying to be chaotic, trying to cause chaos, and I personally have a problem with that. In a philosophical sense, I know I need to be a humanitarian. I know I need to love my fellow man. But the solution to the problem starts in their country of origin. It doesn't start by forcing themselves into our country, especially at a time when we have a president that I voted for who does not want them in the country. And that's just part of this democracy that we have. That's the president that is in power right now. And that's what people on the left and the mainstream media, which is always going to be against Trump, is always going to be against the current president. They need to get over and understand that the majority, most people are not in favor of just allowing these people to come into our country without the checks and the balances. And if you talk to the actual border patrol, and I've seen all the mainstream media, they're allowing the border patrol to talk about what's going on over there, and they're saying we're seeing a lot of men. They are saying we're seeing a lot of men. and they're being disruptive, throwing rocks and trying to break barricades and just finding every way to enter in the country. And I believe that's not going to fly with uh, with what's going on. So we'll take a look at this video. This is just raw footage. I'm sure everybody has seen this footage. You know, it's the tear gassing on the border. Just take a look of how many men are there. I mean, because there are women and children, yes. But I mean, imagine having the resources being spent on trying to stop these people, and they're not stopping. There's more to come, you know, and you're gonna have on the border a stand down, you know, and people trying to figure any way to get across. And this is going to be a huge development until it's uncontrollable and something drastic has to happen to stop people from just illegally coming over. So that's one video, and I just have another video, and we'll if I can get to it. I you know, NPCs tell me all the time, like, well, you're Hispanic and you're a traitor to your own country, blah 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 blah. No, I'm an American. I'm a Texan also. Uh, so it's such a programmable default defense to like bring up my race in this, because I am Hispanic, but I know that my family history was not uh, immigrants. You know, they were here in Texas. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't matter about that. It matters about sovereignty of a country and the ability to be able to have borders and the ability for the country, the United States, to be able to figure out who is going to come into their country, have it documented, and if you find any history of a person having um, a criminal background in their own country, that you stop them from coming to this country, and that's a power that every country should have, and that's the bottom line. It has nothing to do with my race. It has everything to do with the sovereignty of a country and its ability to allow people who they want in the country. So the mainstream media has really brought up the idea of the tear gas and the means of trying to disperse crowds. This is how it's done. I mean, uh, if if the parents bring their kids to uh, in the middle of this, that's, you know, a story of your life. You know, let's just say the one of these kids that goes through there and in the future, 20 years from now, becomes a billionaire and philanthropist and was like, I came from Honduras and made it to America. My family, they 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 escaped the federales or the border patrol to bring me to America, and I became, I flourished through the American dream. You know what I mean? That's all good. You know what I'm saying? But if this is all just a story of their life, you know what I'm saying? So, uh, I mean, this right here, there is a lot of men here, a lot of men. I mean, is this flight really about being scared, or is it just being about knowing that across the border there's liberals and people on the other side that are gonna rally and basically basically uh, try to defend this all this type of behavior. So it's a complicated situation, as anything is dealing with politics and you know people that are doing without and being a humanitarian. So the solutions are in figuring out why these people want to come to America, and if it's for the fear of the corruption in their own country, to try to fight that corruption so they do not have to. Now, this is the Above Limits podcast. I am Olympus Mons, the host of the Above Limits podcast. Make sure to subscribe to this channel and continue to watch all my content that I put out.